legit Powerman, not just one.
Yes.
What? The politician can speak on behalf of two, right?
No. So it all started in December last year, 2024, where Chris came to me and sent me a video of a hybrid athlete training. And he was like, "This is you." And then I think from there, that's where we kind of decided that we wanted to begin training to see how far we could go. And one of the events that he was looking at was Powerman. Read up about it. The classic being a 10-kilometer run, a 60-kilometer cycle, then another 10-kilometer run with a 5.5 hour cutoff time. I looked at it and wasn't sure if I could finish it. And that feeling of committing myself to something like that gave me a feeling that I would have no choice but to train and to see how far my body can take it. And that was the motivation behind why we decided to join Powerman.
I think for me personally, as one of the early founders of Above Hydration, I really wanted to create a product where I saw that wasn't already in the market in Malaysia, in order to fuel people to, as our slogan says, to perform above limitations. So for me, I think I signed up for Powerman actually because I come from a gym background, and my whole life I've always been pushing myself to, go further, push myself to the limit, see what my body can do. That's kind of the mindset I always take to approach, whether it be within work, within university, or within just my physical activity. And something I really wanted to do was, coming from a gym background where you train, you lift heavy to look like a machine, I wanted to actually be a machine. So that's why I joined Powerman. I wanted to really take up something new. I've never ran before. I've never cycled before. I only bought my bike 3 months before Powerman. I started running 4 months before Powerman. I really wanted to push myself and see what I was capable of as a human being.
Like me and many other people out there, I think once you go into life, working a corporate job, family, relationships, and everything else that comes with that, taking your body to its highest potential seems like something that isn't possible. And we wanted to create a community, we wanted to create the environment, the space for people who believe that they can become more than who they think they are right now. And that's something that we fundamentally believe. We believe that each and every one of us is more capable than we think we are.
I think today we're going to be doing 30 km cycle followed by a 10 km run. A 5 km run, we're going to see how the cycle goes first. I'm still a little bit sore, my right hip's a little bit tweaked because I did fall off my bike like a week ago, so we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it's all good. So actually, unlike me, unlike Ilya, I'm just a fresh graduate, so I don't really have that much of commitments compared to Ilya. But on a regular schedule for me would be probably wake up around 8, eat, go to the gym around 10, come back, eat my lunch, then go for a run. My trainings consisted of alternating days of running and cycling, followed by a brick session on the weekend. So I'll typically run 10 to 11 km every alternative day and cycle around 30 km on the other days, followed by a brick session, which was a 30 km cycle and a 10 km run. Delicious. Besides that, I think we can start already. Powerman is less than a month away. We gotta do what we gotta do.
So we registered in December. We probably had a few runs in November, but I think a more consistent training program seriously started in January. So that would make it about 6 to 7 months first to prepare for.
I think signing up for something that you know, as I said, I've never ran before, I've never cycled before. It takes a lot of mental strength, mental resilience, mental fortitude. Something that I always remind myself is that, we are super lucky to be healthy, super lucky to be alive. We only have one life. Having that privilege to run and cycle, I really don't see this an option to not show up, whether you're tired, whether you're weak, whether you're mentally fatigued, whether you're physically fatigued. If the weather conditions are bad, I think the least you can do is still show up and train, because eventually on the day when you perform at Powerman, people that are coming to support you, you don't want to, not show up for them. You don't want to show that you're not capable of performing.
So yes, we did have a training plan. We follow it to the brim, not exactly, but we always work with what we had.
Yeah, we just finished our brick session, so it was like a 30 km cycle followed by a 10 km run. The winds are pretty strong today, so cycling is pretty tough. I think I was cycling around 24 or 25 kilometers per hour, which, like, in my standards is pretty good because I just started cycling like 3 months ago. Got off the runs, my legs were pretty cooked, not gonna lie, because I have a hip injury, but then we started the run around 5:30 pace. Ended off with like 5:45 pace. It could be better, but I think it's a good training session for the Powerman leading up. I think future to work on, I need to work on cycling a lot. I think my run is okay, just the cycling is a bit tough for me. But it's definitely going to be challenging. Powerman's in less than a month. Just got to keep grinding, keep going. As our company says, perform over limitations. So just gonna try to do our best and see what happens in Powerman Day. morning today. We got a 30 km cycle followed by a 10 km run.
Okay.
So a quick easy brick session. Powerman is today is the 1st of June. Powerman's on the 22nd of June, so about 21 days. It's about a month. Yeah, 3:59 Malaysia. Sun is raining down the 5 kpr.
And that was after getting off the bike. We had our training plan, and part of the training plan, mobility and stretching was a huge part of it. Making sure that you're getting adequate nutrition and sleep was a huge part of it. And as much as possible, we'll follow the training plan. And I think as you begin to train more and more, you become more familiar with your body. Like what kind of pains is just irregular muscle ache, what kind of pains may be ligament or joint pain and stuff like that. And you eventually reach a point where you can listen to your body to know when you have to rest to avoid unnecessary injury. So when the body calls for it, that's where we take rest. But then during the rest as well, normally that would just mean maybe instead of a hard run, you take an easier run. If not run, then focus more on mobility and stretches. And it's a consistent check and balance. You're constantly adapting, because let's say on a few nights where you aren't able to get enough of sleep, then recovery hits different as well. So that is something that we always have to adapt to.
Track your pace, you can determine how to improve. You can measure yourself, use it as a metric to see your improvement, and also how to plan accordingly to improve. Yeah, besides that, I think if you have a decent pair of shoes, that's good enough. You have a decent pair of running clothes, a decent pair of a decent bike, I think it's good enough already.
I think throughout the 6 months of me training, the only times where I significantly reduced the volume of training that I had was after a hike and a race, and the taper coming up to the competition day. And I think depending on the volume and the intensity of the workout that you're doing, then especially if it's something that you've never done before, then you can expect that your body would need a bit more time to recover. And also when you're balancing both, weight work in the gym and high intensity cardio exercises, it's like the way you split them out throughout a week has to be not back to back, so your body has time to recover in between all of that. So coming up 1 month for the race, I think a lot of the trainings that we did were nowhere near the full distance of the race that we were about to do, and that would get you a bit nervous, because I think any athlete would have heard of the term hitting the wall, especially when you go for a long distance race. So it's always a question mark when it comes to wondering how would my body react or respond under that kind of conditions, a long race. And to get as close as possible to that, we started doing long break sessions where we're practicing both our running and transitioning directly to the bike. We're testing out the different gels and the different kinds of nutrition that we use, to see how our body responds to it for race day. So 1 month before the race, it was all about how can we get the best simulations possible before we have to begin tapering. So pain already. So we just finished our last training session for the day. This morning we had Powerman short simulation. So that's a 5 kilometer run, 30 kilometer cycle, 5 kilometer run back to back, and had a bit of 4 hour break in between. And we just finished this session, which was 30 kilometer cycle and a 5 kilometer run. That's just 5 kilometer run off the full Powerman or the Powerman Classic distances. I think we want to kind of get an idea of how our body is gonna respond to this volume of training, and it kind of gives us a gauge on is our nutrition working, how we want to use our gels, and everything else along those lines. So yeah, I think overall good training session today. I do feel completely I feel like I didn't feel enough. I was feeling super hungry, super thirsty, so we came and then we just drenched 3 cups straight away in. Yeah, so we are 3 weeks away from the actual thing. I guess 3 weeks. 3 weeks. We got about 2 more weeks to do this kind of training. Then the last week we're gonna be tapering down because we don't want to be doing too much volume the week building up to Powerman. So this is the last stretch. This is our final push of our 7 months journey.
Alright, so we're about 7 days out from Powerman. Today is Sunday. Our race is next Sunday, so it's exactly 7 days out. We've just begun tapering our training. Today, I won't be running. Mr. Chris will be running because I just came back from baseball training, which was 1.5 days. So balancing both of it, kind of want to make sure that I am actually tapering down, so not gonna overdo it today. So how much are you gonna be doing today?
Yeah, I think today will be my last, tempo session. Today will be an 8 km at around 5 kilometers pace, 5 to 5:20, I think. Hopefully, I see how I feel along the way, but that's the target goal. So yeah, 8 km, 40 minutes around. We'll see how that goes.
Okay, that's pretty fast for Chris actually, because you've been training for this how long?
I started training at the start of January actually for the Powerman. Before I started, I didn't do any running, no cycling, so all this is quite relatively new for me. To see my progression across the 5 months,
yeah,
it's quite crazy to me. From starting at not being able to run a 5 km and now doing 11 kms every day, and today especially doing an 8 km at 5 pace is quite crazy to me.
Yeah, it is. Where did you start? When you let's go back to January. How long were you running and how fast were you running then?
So in January I started running. I tried to do a 5 km actually here, over there somewhere. And I couldn't even finish my 5 km, even at a 10 pace. I was getting shin splints, my Achilles were getting pain, my calves were getting pain. And that was about for 2 weeks, and then I just kept on coming back. I kept on showing up every day, and I got better. As I like to always say, I think consistency beats talent, or you don't have to be special, you just have to be consistent. And that's something I live by day.
Yeah, that's amazing. So what time are we looking at for you next week?
Next week, to be safe, I think I'm gonna target 1 hour run for the 10 kilometers at the start, 1 hour run for the 10 kilometers at the end. And then my bike is not as good as my running, so probably around a 2 hour, 30-minute bike. So altogether, it'll probably be 4 hour, 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think I'll probably be going for sub 4 hours, hopefully. So on the safe side as well, it'll be both average 1 hour 10 kms and probably a 2 hour bike. Depending on how I feel on the day itself, I might go for something a little bit faster than that, 3:45. But that's the ambitious goal. So I have like both the upper end that I'm aiming for and the lower end. So yeah, I still think it came a long way, because when we signed up for this in like December, things around there when we first started talking about it, I took a look at distances and we're talking about 10 km run, 60 km cycle, 10 km run. I'm like, I'm not even sure if I can finish this. So we've come a long way. We've come a long way.
So leading up to 1 week before the Powerman, I think I've been quite consistent. I've been quite prepared regarding my running and cycling. My running is definitely one of my better fortes, because I've been training running quite more than cycling. So cycling was something definitely, I wish I could train more, especially leading up. I wanted to train more, but unfortunately a week before my bike actually hit a nail on the road, so I had to send my bike in to get serviced as well as change the bike tire. So, leading up to Powerman, I actually didn't cycle for a whole week, almost a week and a half, but I kept running. So, yeah, 1 week before, I think the only concern I had on my mind was if I was going to be able to make it through the 60 kilometers cycling. Running wasn't really a concern on my mind.
By this point, we've already had a lot of volume of different runs in, and we've become very familiar with our body's capability in terms of the kind of paces that we can do in zone 2, zone 3, comfortable, tireless run state pace. We also know where our threshold paces are. So, and we've also done that at significant distances, 10, 15 kms, longer than the individual legs in Powerman. So I think that gives us an idea of like what kind of pace we can realistically target. The only question mark again is like what happens when we put it all together. But at the same time, 1 week off the competition, we're already tapering. So we're going down like 40-50% of the volume that we normally do in a week coming up to the race. Just some shakeout runs and stuff like that. So our body can actually get fully rested. And I think that's what will make the key difference. On race day, we are better rested, we are better fueled, and that's what would allow us to push our bodies to be able to complete those distances that we've never touched before.
For me, I think just the accountability of showing up every day, it really helped me throughout my training. Showing up whether rain or shine, tired or healthy, mentally fatigued, mentally physique, I still showed up. I think that really motivated me to do more for myself as well as perform at Powerman. But on top of that, is also having Ilya being accountable, having someone that's accountable for you and being in it together with you also really supported me along the way. Some of the best moments were us finishing our long break sessions and just sat there, soaking it all in. That people normally just pick one sport, but we're doing 3 different sports. We're lifting, we're cycling, we're running. You're never going to be fully rested. You're never going to be fully recovered, and you just have to show up and give it your all. So, yeah. So obviously the nerves were kicking in that anything could happen on the day. I could cramp. I could, be fatigued. I could have not enough cardiovascular training. So yeah, that was something that was very nerve-wracking leading up.
Of course, if you talk about 6 months of training 5 to 6 times every single day, if you include the mobility and the stretching workout, you're basically showing up every single day. That is undoubtedly, probably easily 20-30% of those days you just don't want to show up at all. And that's where understanding that the act of showing up, something my partner Chris would say all the time as well, it's that it's not about being special, it's about being consistent. And that's where it comes down to just putting those shoes on and getting out there. It doesn't have to be a great day, but those days count, those days stack up. And I think that was the mindset we were in to maintain that consistency throughout.
So leading up to Powerman, I also obviously watched a lot of YouTube videos of some of the world's best athletes. But something that really helped me along the way was having the support from Ironman athletes as well as past Powerman athletes here in Malaysia that have actually guided me on my journey towards becoming a Powerman. So yeah, I think that was very insightful.
Yeah, so just now we're supposed to go for a 5 km, kind of easy tempo threshold run at like 5 to 5:20 pace. Turns out we ended up running it at 4:36 pace, finishing around 23 minutes. That's a PB for me, It was quite not too hard, it was quite okay, so I was quite, confident in myself pushing up the pace. I'm quite proud of myself coming into Powerman, setting new PBs. Powerman's in 7 days away. So yeah, everything's looking good for Powerman. I'm excited.
So it's a Saturday, it's the day before the race. We just arrived at the Powerman Expo and we went up, what's the place called? But we're in front of the Palace of Justice. We went up the escalator to pick up our kids. So we've got like our shirts and everything ready. In a bit we'll be putting all the stickers and everything on our bikes, and then after that we'll be off to leaving our bikes in the transition zone. Yeah. So tomorrow is the day.
Yes, sir.
How are you feeling about that? Nervous?
Feeling good. A little bit nervous, obviously. Nerves will always be settling in, especially tonight. I don't know if I can get enough sleep, but I'm gonna try my best. But I'm feeling good. We showed up every day, day after day, run, cycle, rain or shine, body pain, body sore, no excuses. So, the work has been done. Tomorrow is just a day to have fun, to really show how much we put in the work and really, just enjoy the duathlon, the Powerman.
Yeah. I think, tomorrow's race day, but the race didn't start then. The race started 7 months ago. So the entire journey is going to be put to the test tomorrow. I think I'm already looking at the field. This morning we came to support my sister for Power Kids, and I'm already envisioning myself on these routes. We're going like 10, 60, 10, and that would be the longest we've ever done in one day before, for sure.
Yeah.
We've come up close to that, but tomorrow is the day we're actually going to put everything together. And yeah, that visualization, the start line, coming off the bike, coming on the bike, that is, whew, that's gonna be the sleep tonight.
Yeah, I think for me, I've never even done a bike run, bike run before. I've only done a bike and run. So yeah, it's gonna be quite the experience. Moreover than that, what's your target time? How are you feeling? What do you think you're gonna finish at?
Okay, so when we first started training, we were just looking at finishing. So that's 5.5 hours. I think now after training, looking at where I'm at, hopefully aiming for something below 4 hours.
So after we did that, head home, wanna maximize rest, took a quick nap. Then after the nap, it was a shakeout run. So not more than 20 minutes, easy pace and with strides. So that's just to make sure your legs stay sharp on the race day as well. I think at that point it was less than 24 hours towards the race already. And then putting all the jerseys and everything aside, making sure the gels are ready and everything else that we need for race day.
So for me, I'm actually not quite a big eater. I don't really have such a big appetite, but I made sure one day before Powerman, I went to one of my favorite places in Cyber, which is at Prima, the Ayam Kunyit place, because they have unlimited rice, unlimited soup. So I just went over there by myself after I'm not sure what I was doing, but after I went there by myself, and normally I only eat one bowl of rice, but over there I ordered a refill of 2 bowls and a half of rice, because I knew how important carb loading and fueling was the night before Powerman. So that was what I did. In addition to that, I also made sure I was drinking electrolytes throughout the day before Powerman. So throughout the night before I was going to sleep also, I was checking down electrolytes.
I came in about 4 months before the race. I think I was looking at sub 4 hour time. And then later on, I think we progressed quite well. The 4 hour time began to feel a bit generous. So I started looking at 3 hours 45. I think starting training early, the fact that I had a partner with me to help maintain and hold us accountable to that consistency the whole way came a really long way. So coming up to race day, I was quite confident to hit that target. Yeah. In fact, I was looking to pull off something a bit faster than that just to see how fast I could go. Yeah.
I think collecting my race kit and putting the RFID tagging on my bike as well, prepping my bib for the race tomorrow was a very impactful moment. You know, the 5-6 months of training, it all came to fruition. This was our time to perform. The day has finally come. It's our time to show up. You know, the training has been done. The countless hours, the countless days of showing up has been done. And the day tomorrow is just to actually just have fun and perform, because we know we put in the work and now it's just time to showcase. Yeah, I think leading up to Powerman, the one day before, I had a moment of realization that, you know, from not being able to run even 5 kilometers 5 months before, from not even having a bike, from not even cycling for the past 15 years, to buying a bike 3 months before Powerman and showing up to ride, learning how to cycle with cleats on, which I've never used before. I think it was quite impactful, quite emotional for me as an individual to really show that, you know, if you really want something, if you really put your mind to it, anything is possible.
It's currently 5 a.m. in the morning. We're making our way to Powerman. As you can see, all the roads are closed. I don't know if you can see, it's quite dark. Just woke up actually a few hours ago. My breakfast was like kind of okay. I had 2 bananas, 4 eggs, and a bar. And then now I'm drinking some above electrolytes, you know, for my race. What about you, Ilya? How are you feeling? What did you have for breakfast?
Oh, my bananas are still in the back. I woke up a bit late, but we've made it. We're here at Hero Walk and we're all in the same car.
So,
oh no, she's saying where she parked.
and then when I get off the bike, it's just gonna be survival at that point. I'm just gonna try, probably run at like 5 if I can, the last 10 km. But yeah, then like I said, it's gonna be survival of the fittest. gonna be me versus me. No music too. I'm just gonna hear huffing and puffing. It's gonna be gruesome, but it's gonna be good.
Oh yeah.
I actually slept the day before at 9, around 9:30, and then I think due to nerves, obviously I woke up at 12:30 and I couldn't fall back to sleep, so I've only had 3 hours of like 3 hours and 30 minutes of sleep. So on the way driving to the Powerman event, the starting line, I was quite nervous. I didn't know if this 3 hour and 30 minutes of sleep was going to affect me or not.
For those past 7 months, Powerman is like all we were talking about. It was like live, laugh, cry, sleep, Powerman. And when I was walking up to that starting line 6:20, though we were a bit rushed here and there, as we slowly phased into the race mood, all I could think was, now is the time. Time that we've been talking about for the past 6 months. All the days that we showed up, the early mornings, under the hot sun, to the late nights. Times I forced myself to eat when I didn't want to eat. Tried to force myself to sleep when I didn't want to sleep. Couldn't sleep. It was all leading up to this. And it was both a feeling of like it's game time and also enjoy it while it lasts, while it happens, because you know this is the day we're preparing for. Yeah, that's coming up to the starting line. So I think I ran the first 2 to 3 km in with Chris, and I think, you know, being able to run about the race with my partner meant a whole lot to me as well, although we were targeting different paces. And when I sped up and I started going on my own, I'm super grateful we had a lot of people come over to support us. So in the crowds, whenever we passed the place where he rounds, it's like you can hear people shouting your name, and that itself feels so powerful because you don't feel alone pushing through all of this. But honestly, I have to be super grateful because that feeling of not being alone and that feeling of being supported went beyond the race as well. It was even while we were training. And those moments help a bunch. But then, for majority of the race, you're alone. And it's just the sound of the bike and all the different people that are racing as well. And that's where you kind of have to become your own cheerleader, your own pacer, because especially on the bike there's a temptation of like wanting to speed up because there were people over there different levels, and when they overtake you, you kind of feel like you're falling behind. But then the thing is, I kept telling myself on that cycle is that when you get off this bike you still have 10 kilometers to go, so it's like, don't overdo it, just keep spinning. And I I kept telling myself that you're about to, as I was hitting that 30-40 kilometer mark, and that is basically where the volume of the most we've ever done during our break sessions was at. I kept telling myself that everything after this is more than we've ever done before. And I was keeping good bicycle pace. I was saying that after you get off this bike, it's all hard. It's all hard. And I just kept telling that to myself over and over again when I got off the bike.
So I think during the Powerman, the first 10 kilometers was quite okay for me. Like I said, running is one of my stronger fortes compared to cycling. So I think in the first 10 kilometers, I was quite in a flow state of mind. I finished around 54 minutes, so around a 5:20 to 5:30 pace. Getting off the run, going into the bike leg, I've never done more than 40 kilometers on a bike. So I knew around the 40 kilometers mark, I was gonna suffer. I was gonna feel something. So it started good. I was actually keeping a higher bike pace than I normally did during my training, so I was quite proud of myself. And then, as I mentioned, when I hit the 40 km mark, both my legs started to cramp. Slowly but surely, it started to cramp, and the pace was increasing. But I knew that, I'm a good runner, so all I had to do is just finish the last 20 kilometers to make the 60 kilometer bike, and I could get through the run.
Then got off the bike 2 km in, both my glutes cramped up and they started tightening over here. And in my head I was like, this is too early. I have 8 kilometers more to go. But at that point it's like, you've come too far to stop now. And so I kept running and the cramps started growing up my quads all the way up to nearly the top of my thighs. At that point, I was just praying that I'll make it to the next water station to get electrolytes. I got those 2 electrolytes in, and the funny thing was that those electrolytes will last me about 4 minutes. It takes about 5 minutes to get to the next water station. So I'll be able to move for 4 minutes. Then the last minute, I'll be just dragging myself. And then when I hit the 5th km, my hamstring cramped. And at that point, everything was tightening up. And I don't know how, we had a friend in the crowd that was telling me, just keep going. So I was like, at this point, I left it all up to God. I was like, if my muscles lock up, then they lock up. I was just moving, even though my entire body was screaming at me to stop. And somehow, I'm not sure how, but with the power of the people around me who were also probably going through a very similar experience, pushing themselves further than they've ever done before, just kept moving, one step after the other.
So obviously, cramps started elevating. Towards the end of the 60 kilometer mark, my pace increasingly dropped a lot. And getting off the bike, both my legs were numb. I couldn't feel my feet, I couldn't feel my quads. And the cramps were almost inevitable going to come during the run. So during the run, I started off actually quite too fast. I started off at a 4:50 pace for the first 1 or 2 kilometers. Then I slowed down to a 5:20, 5:30 pace, and then during the 6 kilometer mark, that's when the most pain I ever felt. Was both my legs started locked up, and I started cramping like mad, to the point that I couldn't even jog or walk. So I was tiptoeing for 1 kilometer. What's something that amazes me is that how supportive all the Powerman, other Powerman athletes are too. A guy was also cramping, and he saw me cramping, and he came up to me and said, "Hey bro, are you cramping?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am cramping." He saw I was tiptoeing. He said, "Okay, let's walk together. Since we're both cramping." So we walked together for like 1.5 kilometers. Magically, to my relief, the cramps went away, so I could actually run the last 3-4 kilometers. So then I finished with just above an hour for the last 10 kilometers. I think crossing that finish line, all the past 5 to 6 months of countless training, sweat, blood, tears. I did fall off my bike. I sweat for this. I bled for this. Indeed, I think everything has just come to fruition. I couldn't be more proud of myself, more proud of Divya for also going through the same journey. And if there's anything I could have shouted, it would have been perform above limitations.
Then we came down that last lap, that last 100 meters, and my family was that side, my friends were on the right side, and over there it's just like, you're almost done it, and everyone there is supporting you. So I think it was a surge of adrenaline. I was able to pick up the pace and finish off strong, and it's like such an emotional and liberating experience crossing that finish line, because that is the craziest thing I've ever done in my life. And that's when you kind of know that all those months of training paid off. And it's something that I think I'll remember for the rest of my life.
Upon reaching the finish line, everyone that came to support us was there. They were shouting your name. It was so amazing to see how many people came, supported us throughout our journey. Leading up to Powerman, also supporting us throughout Powerman. The vibes were, I think the vibes were immaculate. I couldn't have asked for a better way to finish Powerman, for a better support system, for a better, family in a sense to go through the journey with and finish.
When I crossed that finish line, there was a medic tent on the right side, and that's when the cramps all started crashing down. But at the time, I think adrenaline was still in, so they started spraying cold water all over our legs. Then the medics kind of tied ice bags at the front and the back of my legs, and also behind the hamstring. And I think that helped a lot, kind of cool down the muscles. And after that, a bit of stretching, walk to get the medal and whatnot. At the time, I think Chris was still running, so he will come out, greeted all our friends and family and supporters that were there. I think, it means a lot when our supporters are there at the end of the race, because it's an extremely emotional moment for us when we finish something like that. And having people to share that moment with is probably one of the most great things that I'll be forever most grateful for.
Yeah, throughout the race, we had around 10 people from Team Above come support us. That really meant a lot that, when times were getting tough throughout the race, we'd always be able to see them. They'd always be encouraging us, and that really helped me push myself to finish the race. One of my closest friends, Ryan Ko, actually ran with me on the last 10 kilometers for like around 3-4 kilometers, and it was actually quite, motivational, quite emotional and inspiring that, he was willing to run with me for 3-4 kilometers even though he's not a runner, to be there and support me as I finished the last stretch of the race.
As big as Powerman was of an event, to me personally, the whole journey was so much more than just Powerman. It was the movement of my family, my friends, the people around me who started caring more about their health, their fitness, their bodies, and then slowly bring it into their routines. And it's just so empowering, not just when you're the only one showing up, but when the people around you are showing up for themselves. And that in itself has, I think, inspired so many more things. I think, like I was saying earlier, it's like we wanted to create an environment where we're able to bring out or help people see that potential that they may not be seeing in themselves. And at the end of the 6 months, as fast as it flew by, I kind of realized that that's what we've been doing. And coming up to that, the event being the cherry on top, with everyone showing up there, it will be forever a memory, a feat, an experience that I will treasure. Hopefully to many more, but I'll be able to look back at this and say that this was the beginning. You may have doubts on whether it's something that you could really do, and maybe you just haven't found the right circle of people who inspire you to get there. But taking that very first step to show up for yourself and continuing to do that day by day, regardless of how big the goal is, will take you further than you could ever imagine. And by the end of it, when you look back, you'll be glad you tried.
Whether it be work, whether it be just throughout your daily life, or whether it be in sports, if you really put your mind towards something, anything is possible. See you in Ironman 2026 Langkawi.